I started this gangster shit. Just the mother thanks I get. Hello. I started this gangster shit. And it's the mother thanks I get. Hello.
Is it possible to hold two thoughts in your head at once, simultaneously? Two thoughts? Is it possible that these thoughts, though, be mutually exclusive and contradictory? I don't know. These are the questions that I would like to ask Mark Waid. If Mark Waid hadn't blocked me on the interwebs, I would do that. If I ever did ask him, though, he would tantrum, he'd throw a fit. Hey, listen, this is Comic Artist Pro Secrets, and I'm your friend, Ethan Van Sciver, 30-year veteran of the comic book industry, the loop-de-loo, crazy, wackadoo comic book industry, which, according to these people, is simultaneously struggling right now, and then also doing better than it's ever done before. Sales have doubled since 2015 in the great Jeff Johns DC Rebirth Initiative. And you know that. You guys know that the mainstream comic book industry, DC Comics and Marvel, they're doing great. That's why you guys are just buying stacks of comics every week from your comic book store. That's why more and more comic stores are opening and, they're doubling in their orders and their size, right? Isn't that? No, that's... difficult to hold two contradictory thoughts in your head at once. As it turns out, by the way, if you like this channel, if you like this content, if you're enjoying the videos every day, please do me a favor, subscribe. Why not? Just subscribe to this channel. Help me push back against the shadow banning, YouTube shadow ban empire. The empire. You could be a young Luke Skywalker just by hitting subscribe and ringing the bell for notifications. Also, liking this video, sharing this video, and of course, leaving comments below. Now, Mark Waid, a man of deep intellect, has this to say. Not at all a tantruming 4-year-old in a 60-year-old's body. Mark Waid. He says it's possible to call someone out for encouraging a hate mob to buy a book vilifying Gail Simone. By the way, this didn't happen. This just happened in your shiny, round, bald head. It didn't happen in real life. You accused Mark Miller of such a thing, and he had to correct you, and you had to apologize for making that accusation. So let's just make that clear. That didn't happen. And in fact, you would be the one who encouraged a hate mob to go after Mark Miller over your imagination, over something that you believed about him without checking with him first. No consideration for your peers, the great Mark Miller. What, you couldn't just write him a little message and say, are you talking about going after my friend here? Is this what? No. You just jumped to an assumption. And you know what they say about people who jump to an assumption. You jump to an ass out of you and umption. I don't know. Anyway, this didn't happen. Now, this is the important part right here. And to acknowledge that the traditional mainstream comics industry is having a rough go of it right now. You mean right now, right in 2023, when sales have apparently doubled? According to your friend, Heather Rantos, who says, you're welcome, thumbs up, as she points to this ICVT2 comic sales report. Actually, this is 2022, but man, one must imagine that if in 2022, in Heather Rantos and Mark Waid's universe, we made $2.16 billion. My God, in 2023, I'm expecting to see $4.32 billion. I want to see it double. It's not enough to just, bringing more women into comics, assigning people jobs, hiring people based on their demographics, based on their skin color, based on whether or not they, where they put their junk, and what their skin color is. All of these things, just great ideas. And surely this must be, rather than talent, rather than ability to create stories, surely this must be doubling, tripling sales. Everybody must be doing backflips. Heather Rantos is here. She's saying it's great. Things are great. And, of course, your boy Zach swoops in and has to pop her balloons. 40% of your coworkers were laid off this year. And IDW, that's the company Heather works at, was delisted from the New York City Stock Exchange. The massive bump in sales, spoiler alert, is due to manga, YA, young adult graphic novels, okay, and crowdfunding being added to the sales reports. You're welcome. So Heather should be thanking us. And the Japanese. And the people who make those, I think Rena Helgemeyer. Who does Captain Underpants? What other Dogman, Captain Underpants. Oh, and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. You know, that stuff. Man, I met that guy back in like 2003 or something like that when he just started Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He's just a regular guy in Artist Alley. Unbelievable. Good for him. We like that. That's success. Now, how do we bring some of that success over to where we are in reality, not just in delusional articles written to, I don't know, everything is about gaslighting now. Everything seems to be about persuading ourselves and others that things are fine. And I wonder why that is. I mean, is it because we're too fragile to accept reality? Is it because we're trying to convince investors that things are good and therefore they should just keep investing money in IDW and Marvel? Or is it just because we're dunking on chuds? We can't admit that we're wrong. We gotta dunk on the chuds. Gotta do that. That's mostly what SJWs do. 4% growth over gigantic 2021. That's great. This stuff makes me laugh. This chart. Yeah, I mean, what happened was they slowly began to, let me see, let me view the gallery here. What happened was right around here, they started to add MANGA. They started to reconsider what the definition of is, as the great President Clinton once observed. Depends on what you mean by what is, what is. Depends on what you mean by what a comic book is. Now, before, it was just the American market. It was just Marvel and DC. It was just those two companies. But now, what if we just expand out? What if we say that, Garfield collections. Does anybody still buy those? What do they buy? Are there any collected comic strips anymore? What if we say those are comic books? Oh, suddenly like we're taking some of Jim Davis's dough. We're saying, hey, that's our dough too. What if we start to say the Japanese manga imports? The kind that sell in little graphic novels that you can buy at Target or bookstores. What if we start to claim those as well? Oh, that's when we get the jump here. What if we start saying that Diary of a Wimpy Kid and Dogman and, Captain Underpants and all of these other books that are kind of comic book-ish, sort of, in a way? What if we start to take those sales too? Now, those things make billions, literally billions of dollars, and that accounts for this impressive spike. And it also explains why this kind of a spike could occur while Heather Antos' company could be delisted from the stock exchange. 40% of her staff fired, and basically just disaster after disaster. DC Comics is going through a whittling down again. DC Comics is going through a rough patch. What did Mark Waid call it again? Let me just check on this. A rough go of it right now. So DC Comics is also, like IDW, they're having a rough go of it right now. So we look at this, and we look at this this chart here. Let's go ahead and look at this. We see the $2.16 billion. Where's that money going? Now, I remember back in the olden days when I worked at Marvel, at DC. I worked at Marvel, too, back around after the towers fell, 2002, 2003. But I worked at DC, and I was under the impression that DC Comics was bringing in somewhere around $250 million a year in revenue. And so it's hard to figure out how DC Comics. Let me see. Is there a pie chart here that I could look at? Oh, I love pie charts. Imagine that. DC and Marvel dominate the comic market. I guess. In comic shops, anyway. DC Comics, 25.5% of the comic market. That would mean that DC Comics was bringing in $600 million dollars. Marvel Comics, 36.5, and all these other companies split up the rest of it. Find it hard to believe that IDW is bringing in 3.6% of $1 billion, $2 billion, anything. It's interesting. DC Comics revenue, as reported here, $160 million. That sounds about right. $160 million. Do a little math. Let's go back to this. Where were we here? Is that right? No. Where's the pie chart that I was enjoying? Here it is. Marvel Comics. So if DC Comics has 25, all right. So Marvel Comics, 36.5. That would mean that Marvel Comics, according to what DC Comics is making 217.6 million. That would be what they're making together. So it's difficult to see how DC Comics is 160, and yeah, this is exactly right, 360. That was pretty much the number that I had heard. 360 was the total, Marvel and DC and all companies combined. Fascinating. So this chart kind of got it right here. Interesting. All right, let me see here. Kind of difficult to see how that would make up, if they're like that percentage, 2.16 billion. How does that fit in there? That's strange. Oh, it must be that the overwhelming majority of figures reported here, numbers reported here, are things other than the product that they're producing, that Mark Waid and Heather Antos are producing. It seems like it's mostly going to be Rena Telgemeier. It's mostly going to be MANGA. And these guys, of course, in order to point... What's that meme where the the laughing mask and then the crying SJW underneath, the crying MPC? I think that's what the entire purpose of this chart is for, is to do that. Very interesting. The comic book industry that we know, and I'll say this over and over again, just so, Mark Waid understands it. Mark Waid talking about the traditional mainstream superhero comic book industry. That's the industry that we're concerned about. I understand that these guys like to pivot away from responsibility for the disaster and the catastrophe and the embarrassment of how Marvel and DC and the traditional mainstream comic book industry is shrinking. I understand that. But this business, the business that we're supposed to be shepherding, spearheading, the characters that we're supposed to be protecting, passing on, growing, they don't get anything. We don't receive anything. Any of that money there, that isn't ours. That is not coming into this industry. It's coming to some selective retailers. Some retailers, if they're smart enough and they're able to get the customers into their stores, the 12-year-olds that buy Rena Telgemeier, if they somehow start to come to comic book stores instead of their mommies picking up the books for them at Target or Scholastic book fairs, etc., etc., that money isn't coming into our industry. Effectively, it's a different industry. Bragging about this and saying, well, I'm just glad that people are reading comic books. Comic books, they're doing really well. Is a little bit like the Ford Motor Company being glad that people are still driving cars when Honda is kicking ass. And all these Japanese imports are coming in and everybody's driving those instead. That's what it is. It isn't good. It's nothing to be proud of at all. It's difficult. But I guess it is necessary to hold two different thoughts in your head. Two different thoughts in your head at the same time. You're going to have to, if you can look yourself in the mirror. Anyway, ridiculous as usual. I don't know what to do. What do I do about this? What can we do about it? Nothing, I guess. I guess what we should do is just continue to make indie comics fun. And in that effort, I would like to invite you guys, first of all, to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications, and also look at the cool links that I have in the description below for some Cyberfrog books that I've made. Oh, Cyberfrog. Let me show you the trailer for Cyberfrog 3, Red Extermination. Watch this. Don't move.